83. So he's a little stumbly, he's a little rumbly. I can't point to anything that he's done.
In the grand theater of American political discourse, few stages showcase the art of selective outrage quite like The View. The daytime talk show's recent handling of former President Joe Biden's cancer diagnosis offers a masterclass while never missing an opportunity to score political points. It's truly remarkable how quickly one can pivot from "this isn't political" to "but let me tell you about Trump" in the span of a single breath. When news broke that Biden had been diagnosed with an advanced and aggressive form of prostate cancer that had metastasized to his bones, the hosts of ABC's long-running talk show were quick to don their solemn faces and declare this sacred ground where politics dare not tread. That sanctimonious bubble lasted approximately 2.7 seconds before they collectively decided that this medical diagnosis was the perfect springboard to launch attacks on the current administration. Whoopi Goldberg, ever the voice of reason, in an alternate universe perhaps, kicked things off by dismissing any notion that there had been a cover-up regarding Biden's health or cognitive fitness during his presidency. She even used a clip from his recent appearance on the show, where First Lady Jill Biden had to step in and help him answer a question, as irrefutable evidence of his robust mental acuity. Because nothing says completely fine quite like needing your spouse to complete your sentences on national television. Goldberg then lamented that this cancer revelation would only add fuel to the fire for those pesky Americans who had the audacity to question whether the Bidens had been forthcoming about his condition. Her solution? Everyone should simply put politics aside. A noble sentiment, certainly, if only her colleagues had been listening. Enter Sunny Hostin, who began her remarks with the now familiar refrain, "I don't think this is a time for politics." What followed was a masterpiece of cognitive dissonance, as she immediately pivoted to make it political and use it to attack President Donald Trump, adding, "But what I will say is that this administration has cut cancer funding research, cutting cancer research not only for our elderly, our men, but also our children, and I think that's so despicable and so disdainful." The irony appeared lost on Hostin that she had just politicized the very thing she claimed shouldn't be politicized. It's rather like declaring you're starting a diet while simultaneously ordering a triple-layer chocolate cake with extra frosting. The commitment to consistency is truly awe-inspiring. Alyssa Farah Griffin, the token conservative voice on the panel, attempted to bring the conversation back to Biden, suggesting there was a way to discuss the situation without making it solely about politics. A radical concept, to be sure, in the ecosystem of The View. Goldberg then doubled down on her defense of Biden, insisting it was impossible for him to have had cancer while he was president because he wouldn't have been able to hide the treatments from the public. Had this been the case while he was president, there's no way you wouldn't have known because he would have had to have these treatments. So this is not something he was carrying around or that he was hiding, she declared with the certainty of someone who has never witnessed a high-profile figure concealing a medical condition. The emotional temperature of the discussion was raised considerably when Griffin admitted she honestly cried upon learning of Biden's diagnosis. "He feels close to us because he was just here, and we wish him nothing but just hopefully a speedy recovery," she said, in what appeared to be a genuine moment of human empathy, a rare commodity in the political arena. For Whoopi, however, the bipartisan well-wishes for Biden presented an unexpected opportunity for optimism. "It was surprising to see some of the people who wished them well, and it made me feel better," she said. "Made me feel better about it, because now I don't mind fighting, you know what I mean? Because I know you're here. I know someone's in there." As the discussion concluded, Whoopi expressed shock at seeing Republicans wishing the Bidens well, applauding those who cut their tongues off to do so. "It turns out that you have a heart. So there is reason to have faith," she exclaimed, seemingly amazed that political opponents could display basic human decency. The bar for political discourse has apparently been set so low that expressing concern over someone's cancer diagnosis is now considered a heroic act of bipartisanship. The cognitive whiplash continued in a separate episode where Griffin, discussing Jake Tapper's book Original Sin about Biden's cognitive decline, blamed Democrats for Trump's return to the presidency. This table spends a lot of time criticizing Donald Trump, and a lot of it is very valid and needs to happen, but it is a fact his approval rating is 39%, Griffin explained. However, Democrats is 27%. People felt gaslit and lied to. Griffin's Criticism of her own party, she previously worked in the Trump administration, highlighted the tension between political loyalty and perceived truth. 77% of Americans in 2023 said Joe Biden was too old to run again, and they were told, "Sit down, shut up, he is the nominee," she pointed out. Then when it became untenable and he stepped aside, they anointed Kamala Harris. There was not a primary, there was not a democratic process. And then when she lost, they said, "Don't look backward, we're moving forward. We're not going to talk about why we didn't listen to you." The conversation grew increasingly heated as Griffin questioned whether the hosts would feel confident in Biden's ability to answer a call for war in the middle of the night, considering he was apparently unable to recognize his longtime friend George Clooney, an anecdote detailed in Tapper's book, Joy Behar. Never one to miss an opportunity for a "but Trump" moment, shot back with the comparison that Trump's administration mistakenly texted war plans to a family member. Griffin, however, refused to accept the false equivalence, asking, "Do we just keep lowering the bar because Trump was bad? Nothing else is bad because Trump is bad. The ship has sailed," Behar retorted. "It's out in the ocean somewhere with Biden. It's over. Get over it. We have Trump because you guys screwed this up, with all due respect," a fired-up Griffin added, to which Hostin predictably responded, "I actually think we have Trump because Trump lied to people. I think that's why we have Trump." The exchange perfectly encapsulates the fundamental disconnect in American political discourse: the inability to acknowledge mistakes on one's own side while simultaneously amplifying the failures of political opponents. It's a game of selective outrage and selective accountability that The View hosts have mastered to perfection. What's particularly fascinating about these discussions is how they reveal the show's paradoxical approach to politics. The hosts demand that certain topics, like a former president's cancer diagnosis, be treated as apolitical sacred ground, yet they themselves cannot resist using these moments as springboards for partisan attacks. They call for unity and compassion while simultaneously drawing battle lines. They express shock when political opponents show basic human decency, revealing just how low their expectations have fallen. The true irony of The View is that it presents itself as a forum for diverse perspectives and thoughtful dialogue, yet it consistently demonstrates the very tribalism and partisan reflexes that have poisoned American political discourse. The hosts want politics out of Biden's cancer diagnosis, unless they can blame Trump. They want Americans to move forward from discussions about Biden's fitness for office, unless they can use those discussions to attack Republicans. In the UIOE, and what The View offers is less a view of America's political landscape and more a mirror reflecting our national inability to separate the personal from the political, to show consistent compassion without partisan conditions, and to hold our own side accountable with the same vigor we apply to our opponents. As Behar jokingly concluded one particularly heated exchange, "All right, the New York Housewives show will continue." It was perhaps the most honest assessment of what The View has become. Political theater masquerading as substantive discussion, where the drama is real but the insights are often as superficial as they are predictable. And yet, millions tune in daily, seeking confirmation of their existing beliefs rather than challenges to their perspectives. In that sense, The View isn't just a talk show. It's a microcosm of America's political dysfunction, where we talk at each other rather than with each other, where we selectively apply principles based on partisan advantage, and where we express shock when our opponents display the very humanity we often deny them in our rhetoric. Perhaps the most valuable view The View provides is not of American politics, but of ourselves, our contradictions, our tribalism, and our occasional surprising capacity for compassion when we least expect it. If only we could recognize our reflection,